Morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Today we are joined by Dr. Sean Marks. He is the Hospice and Palliative Care Fellowship Director at MCW, and he's the Editor-in-Chief of Fast Facts, and it's his birthday today, so we're especially lucky to have him. Today's topic is on just-in-time education for palliative care and how the Fast Facts play a role in that. The format's going to be focused mostly on a presentation with a little bit of time at the end for some questions. So with that, sit back and enjoy. And Sean, I hand the mic over to you, sir.
Thanks, Marty. All right, well, I am going to try to fire through this slide deck because hopefully, as Marty mentioned, that one of my main visions for this is that the slide deck might be a springboard to a nice discussion. All right, so I don't have any relevant disclosures. I think I am biased, for sure. As just editor of Fast Facts, board member of PC Now, an enthusiast of the concept of Fast Facts. I'm going to try and name 3 barriers specific to hospice and palliative care education that can be addressed via just-in-time teaching, highlight some updates for Fast Facts, and then we'll try and identify, as just like a group free-form discussion, 2 to 5 novel ways to incorporate just-in-time teaching strategies into your healthcare institution. Okay, so really starting in the late 80s, 90s, there was this big awareness of, as I think everybody on the Zoom call here knows, of just like our deficiencies in end-of-life education or end-of-life care. And this led larger groups to kind of examine the end-of-life education we are offering in GME, even CME, medical schools, and really large groups kind of took this on. Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, USMLE, ACGME, LCME, and it really led to a lot of big changes. There were some mandates in end-of-life care education, medical school, implementing palliative care and end-of-life care questions into specialty board exams, all sorts of things. Flash forward, we got things like EPIC, ELNIC, OncoTalk, the Serious Illness Conversation Project, the Vital Talk app, all these great tools. And they've just gone a huge way to advance our field and help promote better generalist education for primary palliative care. But I think we all have recognized that there's challenges with these traditional forms of educational formats. And I'm not going to go over this slide in detail, but whenever you think of like traditional educational formats, didactics or grand rounds or OSCEs, textbook redesign, faculty development courses, rotations, they all have their positives, but their flaws. We just haven't had as good of penetrance as perhaps we would have liked. They're either hit or miss, or they're too time intensive or resource intensive to reach, to have as broad of a scope as we're looking for. There's the preaching to the choir problem, where when you have a grand rounds talk on a palliative care topic, the folks that tend to show up are the folks that don't really need the educational information as much. But kind of what's at the root of the problem, at least per some experts, educational experts in this field, is what has been referred to as the confidence competency gap. I think this might be a Yogi Berra quote, where you don't know what you don't know. And kind of what is meant by that is, I'll just speak personally. Like sometimes you show up at a grand rounds talk and you're hearing somebody speak about something, and you just assume, say it's about leading a family meeting. I may show up, say Marty was leading a great talk on leading a family meeting. I might show up to that talk as an audience member and say, I'm the fellowship program director at MCW. I don't need to learn this. when I do, there's all sorts of pearls that I need to learn from Marty. And so we as clinicians, especially physicians, especially at academic institutions, we have an inflated ego, an inflated sense of our clinical knowledge and skills. And that kind of erases that tension, that need to know. And so this is a very relevant issue with didactics and all these traditional forms of education and end-of-life care. I think it's especially relevant for our field. So looking at this, there's been some efforts to promote end-of-life education via just-in-time tools, meaning trying to meet the clinician when they are struggling with the clinical issue. That's, like that teachable moment. You want to seize the educational attention. What I mean by that is, say you have a hospitalist who knows that they have to lead a goals of care meeting. At that moment, right before they're walking in the room, that's the teachable moment, because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to lead this. How am I going to do it? And that now they have that tension and that need to know. So what are some examples of just-in-time educational tools? Some of them are just simple and ubiquitous. It's just naming them that way. Providing bedside formative feedback by a supervising clinician. So supervising physician goes in with a resident and gives feedback to the resident on how they led an encounter on addressing a patient's fears for the future. The Vital Talk app is a great tool for folks that just gives really concise information on serious illness conversations. Multiple choice tests are kind of another tool where via a question, it kind of stimulates you to know, especially if you get the answer wrong. There's some educational research showing that you will retain information more long-term if you get a multiple choice test question wrong first, because then that kind of seizes that tension, that need to know. So it's good sometimes to study via multiple choice tests and get the question wrong at first. Standardized patients, actually just our patients themselves can be a great just-in-time educational resource, because a lot of times they give us the answer if you are open to it and listen to it, and they'll tell us when we're wrong, because they won't be satisfied, they'll still be in pain or still be nauseous. And so if we listen to them and listen to their feedback, that can be another just-in-time educational tool. But there's challenges in making and implementing just-in-time educational tools that can have the scope and reach a lot of generalist clinicians. And this is not an exhaustive list, but just some things that make it challenging is when you do surveys of national leaders, our field is still considered a soft specialty. And some clinicians may think that kind of what we do is just common sense medicine. So that can contribute to that competency gap and kind of reduce that need to know that may seek them out from seeking out educational tools when they need to. And there's just a lack of easily accessible evidence-based hospice palliative care clinical tools out there. When that clinician's walking into the family meeting, they're not going to be able, in a practical sense, to go back to their office and open up a textbook. You need something that can reach them in the hallway or on their smartphone in an accessible way. So if only we had the right tool, right? So how did FastFacts come to be? So in 1988, there was a newly hired assistant residency director from the University of Cincinnati. And there was, like I said, a lot of foundational money to promote end-of-life education. So this person was given the task to develop some curriculum to promote end-of-life education. He really didn't have a lot of a unique experience. And he was expected to kind of come back to his institution with a product, and he had no idea what to do. And he said that what kind of inspired him is he was watching CNN at a hotel room. And while he was trying to watch the anchor people talk about some sort of news story, he kept getting distracted by the ticker tape on the bottom. He didn't even want to look at it, but he couldn't help. When he glance at it, whatever information was on that ticker tape, he couldn't unlearn it. It was in his brain. And so sort of an aha moment happened for him. He thought that the attitudinal barriers are the biggest barriers of end-of-life education. And so to get around them, he felt like he had to develop a concise tool that could come to the learner or the audience member, the target audience, even if they didn't ask for it. So that once they looked at this tool or this education or content, they'd scan it. And even if they didn't want to learn it, they couldn't unlearn it just by scanning it. So back in this time, before email and, Twitter and things like that, he just printed out one-page documents on different palliative care topics, and he just throw them in people's mailboxes at work, whatever specialty they're in, whatever mailbox was around them. And that was essentially his project. And lo and behold, the people at the University of Cincinnati, the faculty, they loved it. They would look at these and they would read them very quick, and they thought it was great. So he was presenting this information at a national conference, and the person who started our program at MCW, David Weissman, he just was, he thought this was a great idea, and worked with him to really kind of springboard fast facts. And through the incredible work of David Weissman, he really kind of took this project to a new level. And he got a large grant, and for 15 years, he developed a website and a way to distribute fast facts. And it's really turned into a great tool, widely used, kind of always tried to stay true to this philosophy of just-in-time education. So they're designed to answer a targeted clinical problem in hospice and palliative care. They're trying to capitalize on teachable moments. They aim to be evidence-based, peer review, and a big part of it is being clinically practical. For the generalist clinician, they're not really meant to be a resource for, palliative care fellows or palliative care nurse practitioners that have been in the field for 15, 20 years, or faculty that have been in the field for 15, 20 years. They're more designed for that generalist clinician, maybe a medical student, first-year intern, hospitalist that struggles with common end-of-life issues in the practice. Fast facts can be utilized many different ways. Originally, they're meant to be delivered by paper to the learner without prompting, but there's actually some clever ways you can still do it and without a hand delivery of the paper. They're designed to be one page so that once the learner scans it, he can't unlearn it. Here's an example of one written by one of our faculty members on thirst in palliative care, just so you get a sense of what they look like. Through the incredible work of just a fast facts enthusiast at Harvard named Mark Zhang, who just reached out to us and said, "Hey, you guys need an app for fast facts." And we're like, "Yeah, we know we do, but that would mean like we'd have to get money and a lot of technical know-how and things like that." And he said, "Well, let me see if I can do it." So he was actually doing an IT fellowship at Harvard, and he collaborated with some app designers, and he developed an app on his own with these folks, and it's just been awesome. The problem with anybody who's developed an app is it's one thing to build an app, it's another thing to maintain it year after year after year through all the iOS updates and things like that. So that's one thing that we're struggling with now, but hopefully this will be still available. And nowadays, smartphone apps, we can all groan about smartphones, but they're very handy to reach people as a just-in-time educational tool, because I think a lot of us just kind of instinctively reach for our smartphones when we're in the middle of a clinical problem that we're struggling with. Here's what the app looks like. On the flip side of FastFacts, they're also a good tool for people who are looking to publish. They get co-published through the Journal of Palliative Medicine. And this has been a huge reason, I think, for their success, is it gives some motivation for authors to write a FastFact. And basically the process is when anybody out there has a FastFact idea, they just kind of email one of us and we tell them if the topic's desired, fits with our vision of FastFacts, already taken, already done. But when they are completed, they get, published as a peer-reviewed publication. And when they get published, they have a, high impact, because they're seen and utilized by lots of people, not just throughout our country, but Canada and even some other countries in the world. Whenever we have first-time authors write a FastFact, we try to prepare them that it's a much more iterative writing process than you ever could imagine. I think when I first wrote my first FastFact, I thought it was just going to take like an hour. I was like, how hard could it be to write a page? But it wasn't. It took months of like back and forth with the editors, and the finished product compared to the starting product look completely different. And that's because FastFacts, they have their own tone, format, style. We really tried to think through like what is the most clinically relevant information for that generalist clinician. They're meant to be evidence-based. So we have to make sure that we're very upfront about the level of evidence for any claims we make and things like that. And then there's a lot of back and forth between the primary editor, but then we have this just incredible peer review panel with leaders in the field, pharmacists, nurse practitioners, social workers, just these great folks that review them too. So then there's a lot of back and forth even after the peer review panel chimes in. But we think that's another secret to the success, is that the buy-in of all these people makes the content reliable, I think, to our audience, and I think has helped keep it going. For those of you who don't know where FastFacts live, if you wanted to check them out sometime, they originally were on a website called ePerk. That was that sort of larger organization funded by that grant that David Weissman set up. When that grant fell through, then they were hosted by CAPC for a year. And since then, we found a really great partnership and home with the Palliative Care Network of Wisconsin. That's kind of where they live now. There's over 400 of them and still growing. We publish about 24 a year. And that's because all new FastFacts get published in the Journal of Palliative Medicine. That's the most they could publish in a year, is 24. You can search them by number, by name, topic. We developed some core curriculum. We've developed a thing on the website where you can download the Word document and print them out. There's a wide breadth of domains, topics, from like really basic topics to more advanced topics. And then I just want to highlight some other, I guess, partnerships is what I would describe them as. There's a separate group that developed a geriatric fast facts with a very similar idea. What generalist clinicians, like what would they need to know about different geriatric topics that would help them care for somebody 2 a.m. if they're admitting a geriatric patient to a hospital. And it's great. And they have a nice grant supporting them. And they got a nice, this is their website. They're separate from us, just so you know. So, but sometimes we work really close together. And actually right now, the people who run geriatrics fast facts are in the same division as us. So it works really well. So like if I get a author that has a topic, I'm like, this might fit better in geriatric fast facts. We just kind of can bounce back and forth, but check that out. It's a great resource. Soon we hope to have some fast facts translated into Spanish coming to our website. And this is through the work of a great doctor, again, a fast fact enthusiast who just emailed us that they had this vision. And we hope to get that done very soon and on the PC Now website. We're trying to beef up our pediatric fast fact content. Recently, we went through all the fast facts and tried to, throw in a line or two when appropriate on pediatric things. Like, for example, if we have a fast fact on mirtazapine, olanzapine, so we just kind of threw in some indications in children on that. There's some dedicated pediatric fast facts in our current library of fast facts, but it's just not enough. And so thankfully we have some great docs, Julie Childers and Michelle Freeman, and they really have taken on a huge project. And what they did is they surveyed all the pediatric palliative care educational leaders, and they tried to drill down what are the most needed topics. And we hope to get about 20 pediatric fast facts published soon on PC Now. These are all in development. We developed a fast facts quiz. This just got launched a week ago or so. And I think this could be pretty cool. They're all just questions based off of select fast facts. The way we kind of design this is one question appears at a time. You guess an answer, and then it tells you the right answer with an explanation, or as well as the appropriate fast fact to look at if you wanted to get more information. So it's kind of designed to be a tool that if you had like rotators on your service, could just do during downtime. There's 100 questions, you can just do one at a time and random question pops up. Not really designed to be a board prep tool, but maybe it might help with board prep, because I think for all the docs and palliative care out there, I think you'd all agree with me that there's just kind of not as much board prep tools out there as we'd hope. Here are some examples of different fast facts. We're running low on time, so I'm going to breeze through this. There is some evidence that fast facts can work as an educational tool, including if you just email people fast facts, even if they didn't ask for the emails. Some evidence that they can improve knowledge accrual and self-reported preparedness. And there's some evidence that the app at least does what we're hoping it would be, meaning be utilized during the time of clinical need. And there's just so many different ways we've heard from readers about how they utilize fast facts. You can use it as a weekly reading at IDT for a hospice organization. You can print out a relevant fast fact and just slip it in the door of the referring team's room. I would love to have like fast facts built as a medical app in our EMR, like our Epic. Haven't been able to do that, but that would be a cool use. For a while, we would just email a core curriculum of fast facts to residents and Department of Medicine. All sorts of different ways you could utilize them. But I'm just speaking about fast facts because that's what I know. But I think beyond fast facts, there's just so many, such a need for just-in-time educational tools. And sorry I talked so long. I just wanted to open it up to the group just to hear if you had any questions, thoughts, or ideas about how to develop just-in-time educational tools to promote our specialty better.
Hey, Sean, Steve Rommelfanger. Wondering what your thoughts are about using CAPC curriculum for teaching and how you might think of targeting audience based, whether to use fast facts versus CAPC modules. We have a system-wide membership for CAPC. So theoretically, anybody that works for Advocate Aurora would have access to these options. Thanks.
Yeah. We actually do not have that. Our institutions do not have that access to CAPC tools. So I am not as familiar with them as I should be. What I can tell you is, I think because they know I edit fast facts, they asked me to edit some tools that they developed, some modules, and holy cow, were they good. I mean, like, they just have like much better resources than we do in fast facts that develop really slick modules that can walk you through some great cases. So I the little I've seen, I've been incredibly impressed with the stuff they have. The hard thing is can these tools be accessible during the time of need? It's the thing that we even struggle with in fast facts, because it's great on the website, but how do you reach that generalist clinician when they are in the midst of a clinical problem regarding palliative care? Because that's the teachable moment. And we obviously can't just be all just walking around the hall and just saying, are you having a palliative care clinical problem? How to reach them at the time of need is always the holy grail, I guess.
So, Sean, I'm a chaplain at St. Luke's, and I was curious if you have any spiritual care fast facts.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking that. Yeah, we do. We have a couple, one on the role of chaplains on a like interdisciplinary team. We have a couple on how to do spiritual screening. There's one in the works on how to respond to patients' requests for like spiritual healing, or like, when they said that they're waiting for a miracle or something like that. So we have some, not enough though.
Cool, great.
Yep.
There's some good ideas percolating.
Wonderful. And then if we wanted to reach out to you, Sean, if we had an idea for writing a fast fact, how would we get a hold of you?
Oh, email me. I'll throw my email on this chat.
All right. Well, thank you. We really appreciate your time and your wisdom today with us. And I hope everybody has a really wonderful weekend.
Yeah, great to chat with you. I love these chalk talks.
Absolutely. All right, guys, take care.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.